Hi, welcome. I'm Rachel, and this YouTube channel is a little visual diary, if you will, a space where I yap at the camera about things I've been making lately. Mostly knitting related, although I have been dabbling in lots of other crafts lately, so I'm going to talk a bit about that too. Why don't we get started? Drink report today. I have a strawberry bubbly with peach pit syrup. The peach pit syrup my partner made, and she literally boiled peach pits. Like she pitted some peaches, cooked with the peaches, and then boiled the peach pits with water and sugar and made syrup out of that. And it tastes like slightly peachy, but also it's got this sort of almondy flavor. It's really nice. It's extremely warm today. I just got home from a Pilates class and I'm feeling like a little sweaty in front of the camera. I'm not wearing any knitwear because it's too hot. But I do have a summer knit item today. So let's talk about it. I did try to put this on when I came home because I thought it would be nice to wear a summer knit item. But I couldn't do it. It's a little bit too hot today, even for this. So this is the So Summer shirt by Jessie Made Designs. I made this with Hobie Oliven yarn, which is a cotton and linen yarn, fingering weight. So this is my first fingering weight garment. Unfortunately, I love it. I really love how light it is. Today I don't really want to wear it because it's so humid, but I was wearing this last week when it was kind of hot out, but not quite so hot and humid as it is today. Today it's 30 degrees with humidity. Earlier this week it was a little cooler and drier, and this was just fine. And I think it looks really nice on me too. I really like the fit of this on me. So I've actually knit this whole shirt before, but for one thing, it was early on in my knitting and I made the body way too short. It was just below my boobs, like too short, shorter than I want it to be. And the other thing is that I made it out of a sock yarn, and I fairly quickly realized that that's not going to get a ton of wear in my wardrobe. I do think I would like a couple of fingering weight, like wool shirts. I do think that would be really nice as a layering piece in the wintertime, but it's a bit much for me. It's a bit much, and it's a lot of knitting. It's a lot of knitting for something that I don't know that I would get a ton of wear out of. I do think I would get a ton of wear out of a fingering weight sweater, and that's probably in the works for me at some point soon. But this is super cute. I think I'm gonna wear this a lot. I keep on putting it next to other clothing and knit items that I'm making, and I'm like, "Ooh, that looks cute. That looks cute too." So this is the, once again, So Summer shirt by Jessie Made. I recommend it. I liked it. I thought it was fun. My next finished object is just finished it, just cast off this morning. I haven't woven in the ends yet. There's only two, so I'll do it very shortly, but it's this, which is all just rolling up. So let's see if I can unroll it a little bit. This is it's a triangle. It's a stockinette stitch triangle is what I'll say about it. I followed the pattern, the Easy Peasy bandana by, I forget their name. I'll put it, down here, wherever it ends up going. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I don't know that it's sold. The ends really roll up, which I knew it was going to do. I know it's stockinette stitch. I know that's what stockinette stitch does. And maybe it'll roll a bit less aggressively once I've blocked it. Sorry if I hit the microphone, but this is She. For this, I used Feederbrook Farms Entropy DK, which at least at my local yarn store is sold as a spin cycle alternative. Bring it a little closer to the camera so you can see. It's really lovely yarn. I really enjoyed this yarn. And this was a pure dopamine knit. I've been working on a lot of bigger, longer term, more complicated projects elsewhere in my life, creatively and in just my job. And I really just wanted something simple to keep my hands moving. And that's what this was. I'm honestly kind of sad that it's done. And I do think I'll wear it. I thought about just frogging it when I was done, being like, okay, you served your purpose. I don't know if I love this stockinette stitch triangle. And I still might do that because This kind of happens as soon as you put any pressure on either end. Just curls up into a little tube. I don't know. Maybe I'll wear it. I do love to wear a skinny scarf or bandana, something around my neck in the winter. I absolutely don't want it around my neck right now. I just did that for a second and I really didn't enjoy it. This is in the category of things I think would look really cute with my summer shirt. How can I show this to you? Maybe like this. I think these go together in a really lovely way. I can see myself wearing this with a denim jacket in the fall. So the Easy Peasy bandana is a free pattern on Ravelry, and like it's a stockinette stitch triangle. So you start at, I think I started at this end, and then you increase, increase, increase until you get halfway through your yarn. I measured my yarn. This is the middle, and then you decrease until you're done. So really simple, easy to work. It doesn't have any kind of border around the stockinette stitch edge. And the increases were done in kind of a funny and roundabout seeming way, at least to me, which the pattern called for doing a yarn over increase and then doing some kind of twisted purl stitch when you came back on the other side to close the hole, I guess, of the yarn over. I assume that's the intention. I just didn't make one right, and it was fine. I don't know. So that seemed a little odd to me. I've never seen that before, and I didn't do it. I really love a triangle shawl or scarf. I love to wear a little neck accessory. So I really love knitting like a triangle shawl or small bandana or something. I find it a really fun, satisfying knit that I'm like fairly certain I will actually use. I'm not opposed to simply frogging this if I don't end up wearing it or if the stockinette rolling annoys me. I do have a couple little leftovers of this yarn. This is really lovely yarn. Did I say this is Feederbook Farm Entropy Decay? Yeah, I did. I did say that, I think, but it bears repeating that this is really lovely yarn. So I want to do it justice. I like looking at it through the viewfinder here because I can see this stripe a lot better than I can when my face is right up in it. So that is the Easy Peasy bandana. I don't know if I recommend it. It's free. It's fine. The last thing, debatable whether it's finished or not because there's one thing I want to change. But this is the Very Squarey shirt from Park Williams. I test knit this. I also think that these two items would go so nicely together. How can I show you this? What am I trying to do? Doing this in the most awkward way possible. Here we go. This is a good way to show you, I think. So I just think that these would be really cute together. So I will not be, despite the fact that it's a tank top, I will not be wearing this as a summer garment. This is a wool and cotton yarn. I made this out of Queensland United cotton wool blend. And I really like this yarn. I'd really like to make another garment in this yarn. And I have quite a bit of it from something that I started to make and then frogged because I didn't love the gauge that I was using. This yarn does bill itself as a sport weight. I find that it knits closer to a fingering weight. This was a fun tank top. This was a fun pattern. I don't do a lot of color work. I'm honestly not that awesome at it, but trying to get better. It's just tends to be more yarn management than I often want to be doing. But I like this. I think I'll wear this. I think it would actually look good over this shirt as a little overlayer, more like a vest. And I do want to shorten these straps by maybe that much, like an inch. So that it's more like this. So this is a cute little outfit here. So I do have to go in and adjust the straps on this, which I really just find to be par for the course. When I make tank tops, I often find myself finishing them, blocking them, putting them on, and then realizing that the straps are a touch too long or touch too short. Say la vie. It's hard to tell how that strap is going to behave until it's like relaxed and blocked and done its thing, and then it's hanging on like my actual body. So maybe I just accept that's part of the game when I knit a tank top. But I'm in no rush for this thing because we are not anywhere near me wanting to wear a wool item like this just yet. So I got some time. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is my works in progress. I've been actually trying to keep it really simple knitting wise. I've had a few longer term, bigger, more complicated projects, both creatively and also just in my work life. A lot of things have been changing in a good way, but just I've been finding in my knitting lately that I've really been wanting very simple projects. I've been working on a lot of really big, exciting things that have more elements of long term planning in them. And my brain has really needed some very simple, straightforward tasks, especially when I'm trying to relax, which so often knitting is me trying to relax and trying to calm my brain down. And that is purely what these were about. I've been affectionately calling these my ugly leg warmers. They are very scrappy leg warmers. It's just a tube. And you'll notice that they are completely done being knit, but I'm not counting these as finished yet because, let's see, I'll turn this inside out and I'm going to show you my shame. They have, oh my God, still getting tangled. They have so many ends to weave in. So this one has a lot fewer. This one is the one I've been working on weaving in ends. I just keep this near the couch and as I feel like it, or if I'm working on something else and I need to take a quick break, do a little like Pomodoro, I might knit in or I might weave in a handful of these ends. But again, we're nowhere near needing leg warmers. So that's just fine. This is all sock yarn held double. I have one strand of a white sock yarn with one strand of just random scraps and bits and bobs that I had. And when I wear these, they're going to be a lot more scrunched on my leg. You'll notice they're pretty long. Let's see if I can show you this on my arm. All of these ends, oh my gosh, horrible feeling on my hands. It'll be kind of like this. It'll be like very like 1980s. And these will be so nice around the house or around the studio in the winter, leg warmers. So someday I'll finish these. I bet I'll feel a lot more motivated to sew in these ends once it starts actually getting cool and I want to wear them. I'm never working on that tight a timeline when it comes to knitting in the summer. None of these things are going to be even possible to wear, at least for 3 months at this point. And the next thing I'm making is like very different from the last few things I've shown you. I feel like I've been showing you lots of quite bright colors. And this next one is this very earthy sock, which this is just a 3x1 rib. At this point, it is simply a tube. The yarn is Patton's Croy in woodsy colors. I really like this yarn. This yarn is very affordable and easy to get. You can buy this at Michael's, which is one of the few wool-containing yarns you can get at Michael's. Just a sock. It's a self-patterning 3x1 rib. I'll probably do a heel flap and gusset and then continue the rib on the top of the sock and that stitch on the sole. That's been a fun, simple project. I actually started this months ago. Similarly, I think I really needed something so simple to cast on, and I don't know, I cast on one night and maybe worked on it that night and for a day or two after that and then shoved it away and like kind of forgot about it. So I picked it back up and eventually I'll have a sock. So the next couple of things that I'd like to talk about for knitting works in progress are slightly larger, longer term projects. One that I'm hoping to finish by the end of this calendar year and one that might take me a little longer than that, not in a rush. So I'll talk about the second thing first, actually, just because it's close at hand, which is I'm dyeing some yarn. This is some Lion Brand fisherman's wool that I got from the thrift store in a natural color. And I dyed it purple, and you can kind of see some of the tones that are coming out. So I do think that this is really pretty, and I think that this is a color that would be very wearable for me. I have clothing items in this color that I love. However, I want to try something, which is I'm going to go back and over dye this. I'm going to do a resist dye. So what I'm going to do is, like in the hank, I'm going to tie it up in like various points so that the dye will not penetrate those parts that I've tied. And then I'll over dye it. I'm thinking quite a dark blue purple. And then the parts where the blue dye can't penetrate will hopefully retain this purple color. So we're going to see how that goes. I think whatever ends up happening, like it's going to end up looking pretty good. The next thing I actually have to do is rewind some of these skeins because I wasn't that careful when I was doing my dye bath, and some of them got quite tangly. Given that it's going to go through a second dye bath, I think I have to wind them back into balls and then re-hank them, which is fine. This is all part of the process. I'm in no rush for this. And I think that the sweater I want to make out of this is the school supply sweater by Park Williams. I've been really wanting to make the sweater. I've seen it a few times. I think it's really cute. And I really like the versions that I've seen people make. However, I had a free coupon code for a pattern from Park Williams because I tested for her. And the school supply sweater has some of the same elements that I really like about the sweater, which is I like that the sweater has this quite long section of ribbing at the bottom. I think it looks really good. And the way that I wanted to do it was to do a bit of a split hem and have that be quite cropped. And that's exactly what the school supply sweater asks you to do. And it's also knit at an airing weight. So I'm going to make the school supply sweater by Park Williams out of that. I'm 99% sure that that's not going to come for some time, I don't think. Okay, so the next project that I want to do is honestly one that I'm a little bit intimidated by, but I want to get it done by the end of the calendar year, and we're a week into August now, so I got to get moving. I want to make my very first Fair Isle sweater, and I want to do it with scraps. So I have so many leftovers and scraps of yarn that I want to use for color work. That, like, this bag is just full of these. So I'm going to use scraps for the color work. And my main yarn is this beautiful Hello Stella fiber, wild wool, natural 2-ply, undyed yarn. I think it's so pretty. I got this at the Fiber Forge. Hello Stella is extremely local to me. We live in the same city. And I really love this yarn. I'm so excited about having a sweater made out of this yarn. So I have 3 skeins of this, and the sweater that I will be making is the Strange Brew by Tin Can Knits, which is a circular yoke Fair Isle recipe guidebook. The pattern PDF is truly 30 pages long, and I find it a little intimidating. The reason it's so long is because it has instructions for top down, bottom up. It has a guide for steeking, and it also has a bunch of beautiful color work charts. So I think the next thing I have to do is get this pattern printed out. I don't have a printer at home. I don't usually print my patterns, but with this one, it's so big that I think I need to just pare down the information I actually need. But I have started, there's nothing really to show, but I did start knitting the yoke, and I love this yarn so much already. I can tell. I started knitting the yoke a little bit ago, and honestly, it was a really hot day. And this is very rustic wool. I don't know if you can tell just from looking at it, but it's like, I think it'll soften up a lot, but I can see it being on the lightly scratchy side. I'm not opposed to that. I think that's nice sometimes. Look how nice these are together. One thing that I will say about myself is I do feel like I have a pretty consistent color palette. So I'm going to have fun with this, I think. I don't know what I'm going to do color work wise. I have no plans. And I kind of think I'm just going to go with the flow, vibe it out based on how much I have of each yarn. We'll see. At first, I kind of wanted to do an all over color work, and I don't think I actually want to do that. I think that's too overwhelming. I think I'm going to want a little bit of breathing room areas where it's just stockinette in the round for the sake of my brain and also for the sake of yarn management. I do think I want to do extra color work more than just the yoke. I think I also want to do some on the cuffs and maybe the bottom hem. I don't think I'm going to plan it out too much because I find that a bit overwhelming. So I've been a bit intimidated by this pattern, partly just because it feels like there are so many choices to make, right? Like the nice thing about a set design is that you knit and then the designer says, do this chart. And then you say, okay, boss, and you just go. Whereas this pattern, it is more of a recipe, a guideline for you to choose your own adventure, which I think is so cool. It also makes getting started but a little bit scary because I don't really know where I want to go with this. And I don't really know how to make the best choices. So I'm just going to dive in, trust it, hope that it looks good. I am not a big color work knitter. I love the way that color work looks. It sometimes is a little bit more mental effort than I want to do. I mostly do my knitting in the evening when I want to de-stress and unwind. So I do tend to fairly simple projects. I'm really not a lace knitter at all. And I do very little color work or cables. I've actually never done cables. Maybe I should do cables next year. The intention of this project was to beat my, not fear of color work, but maybe to force myself to do color work because I love the way that it looks. I think it's so beautiful, especially these traditional Fair Isle designs that are rooted in so much like history of this craft. So the next section that I'm going to do is something that I usually don't, which is I'm going to talk about some yarn acquisitions. And I don't normally do that kind of thing, mostly because I don't want to encourage people to buy stuff. I don't think anybody really needs to be buying anything. And I do have concerns sometimes about the ways that the act of shopping becomes commodified itself when we are making content, whatever that means, that includes as a section what we've bought lately. That being said, I love to listen to other people talk about things that really excite them. And I do think it's fun and interesting to look at different kinds of yarns that I maybe don't come across where I live. I recently went to a fabric swap. It was actually hosted at my job. I didn't organize it, somebody else did, and I was mostly a guest of it, I guess. But I did walk away with some goodies. So I filmed a clip of that like as soon as I got home from the swap, which I'll drop in now. Hi. I wasn't planning on filming anything, and I'm feeling like kind of sweaty and warm, and nothing is charged properly, but I just got home and we had a little fabric swap at my work. I work at slash manage a yoga and Pilates studio, and one of our small business friends wanted to host a fabric swap at the studio. Well, we didn't have any classes running, and we said yes, and it was really good. So I was there mostly to show the swap organizers. Here's where the light switches are. Here's where the cleaning supplies live. But while I was there, I also picked up some stuff. So it was $5 to fill a bag, and I did indeed fill a bag of stuff. And it's mostly just one thing that's quite bulky, and I'm just gonna show and tell. So the fabric swap was not only fabric, but there was yarn there, and there was some nice yarn. And I brought home some good stuff, I think. So right up top here, I don't know what a lot of these are. A couple of these are hand-dyed yarns, and I'm not familiar with the dyers. I don't think they're especially local. So this first one is this sock yarn, superwash sock yarn. It says, yes, superwash merino and nylon, 80/20. And this is from the Amy Lee Show presents Canon hand dye. I've never heard of these. The postal, or not postal code, excuse me, area code, they have their phone number on the tag here, and the area code is 925. I don't know what that area code is, but it's pretty. It's very pretty. And it's a self-striping, so I think this will be fun. And I got another I'm assuming this is a self-striping from, it says self-striping on it, from Tits Out Collective. This extremely bright, it's getting so blown out, but extremely neon self-striping. This one is called Bodacious Tatas. So again, I've never heard of this. I'm not certain how this is pronounced. Queer? I'm going to guess queer, but I could be wrong. Care? Queer? Whoever this is, very bright. And there's another one that does not say Tits Out Collective on it, but is from this same brand. This is, where does it say? Yeah, this is 75/25 superwash merino and nylon, as is this. I imagine that these were maybe intended to go together. Once again, getting really blown out on the camera. It's much more vibrant than what is coming across on my viewfinder. It's just a little mini. And then this, oh, I lost the label. Where'd it go? Maybe I'll take this stuff out first because I actually forget what this label even said on it. So this next one is, I got 6 skeins of this Alpenglow yarn. And this is worsted weight Corriedale wool from Mendocino. All of these say that they are mill ends. Again, I don't know anything about these yarns. I don't know what the story was. They were just sitting out on a blanket, and my eyes went straight to the non-acrylic looking yarns. So I got 6 skeins of this. I got 600 grams. That'll be plenty. It's not very soft, probably because it's mill ends. It's quite rusticy feeling. I might use this to make an oversized cardigan that gets used more as outerwear, because 6 skeins that's gonna give me a lot. There's another one floating around this bag somewhere. But that's really exciting. I'm not certain what I'll use this for. Exactly, I don't have a particular pattern in mind, but I have been thinking that some kind of navy blue or darker blue. Again, this is much darker in real life than it's showing up on camera, but this kind of blue I've been thinking might be a good thing for me. What else? Oh, yes, this is the last yarn, and this is definitely mohair. I can tell that it's mohair, and maybe also silk. I'm going to assume it's a mohair silk blend. I'm not sure anything else about it because this is the whole label. So that's the whole entire label. Nothing on the back. No other information. So if you know anything about this, I'm going to do some research after. Definitely some kind of mohair, very bright. I don't know if this is something that I would have picked out if I was paying $32 for it or whatever. But for $5, I mean, I didn't even pay $5 for this. I paid $5 to fill the bag. So I'm quite pleased with that. And it'll get put into something. I do have some mohair that's this color right here. So I don't know. We'll see what I do with this. And that's all the yarn that I got. Otherwise, I did get some quilting cottons. So I'm not hugely in need of fabric right now. I didn't want to pick up a ton of fabric because I don't sew it a lot. I sew some, and I do like making patchworky things. I love using scraps. So I do like looking through quilting cotton remnants and stuff like that. But I didn't want to bring home too much because I already have actually this dresser behind me that my TV is on. These 2 bottom drawers are filled with fabric, and that is about as much fabric as I am capable of hanging on to. But I did pick up a little bit of quilting cotton just because I liked this pattern. And I like this brown and teal a lot. And then this kind of lilac or violet color, I'm always going to find a use for it. This feels just like a staple color for me in my wardrobe and in my home. So got a pretty good amount of that. About a yard, maybe? I'm not a great judge of that, but a decent amount of this. The thing that I'm most excited about is that there was a big piece of batting. I'm not going to unfold it, but it is a honker. And the thing that I'm very excited about here is that I'm making for a quilt show that's happening in September called Patch. And what I was going to do is I was going to sew together old bed sheets and stuff as batting, which I do think is a good idea. But I was a little bit concerned about just the extra work that I'm making myself there. But I can just use this. I can just lay this on the floor and cut out my batting, and it'll almost certainly be big enough and just throw it over there. I don't know what to do with it in the meantime. It's huge. I didn't measure it or anything. There weren't measurements on it. I didn't even notice that there was batting because it was like kind of tucked under a table. But then somebody else noticed it was there, and they were like poking through it, and we were sort of chit chatting, and because we're both part of the same quilt show, and they pulled out that huge piece, and they were like, "Oh, this is giant. My quilt isn't this big. I don't need to cut into this. I'll save it for somebody else." And I went, "My quilt's big. Let me see." And then I started trying to open it up, and it was too big to open up. And I was like, this is certainly big enough. I'm just going to fold it back up and take it because I do need a pretty big piece. So I'm quite thrilled. I was expecting to come away with this. I was expecting to come away having picked up a couple of quilting cotton scraps and not really getting much else. I did get a few buttons and needles and things, but they're not super interesting. I don't think they're super interesting. They're pretty plain, but useful. So I feel like these all came from the same person. I just have a feeling. Tell me, what would you make with 6 skeins of worsted? Pretty rusticy. This isn't soft, but I think it'll feel nice in like a very woolly way. You know what I mean? What would you make with this? Let me know. Okay. Back to whatever else is happening in whatever video I kind of plop this into. Hi, you're back. It's been a couple minutes for you, but it's been a few seconds for me. Isn't that fun? Also, since then, I was given a lovely gift of a skein of sock yarn. So I think I mentioned in my video, I manage a yoga and Pilates studio, and sometimes we do events and things like that when we're not using the studio for classes. We host people. And so somebody reached out to the studio who wanted to host an event. And I realized that I knew them from the knitting guild that I was in. I don't think I'm going to rejoin it this year just because the meetings now happen at a time that I teach weekly classes. My schedule changed and I can't make the meetings anymore, unfortunately. Anyway, when she came for a meeting, she brought me a skein of sock yarn. Isn't that so nice? It's this lovely earth tone with a light, like pinky purpley tinge. I don't know how well that's coming across, but it's really pretty. It's a self-striping, I believe. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see. I do like that these socks have a little picture of what the stripe pattern is intended to be. I don't think I'll use this anytime soon. I have no idea what it's going to be for, but it was just such a nice gift. It's so lovely. I love knitting people. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today is the quilt that I'm working on, which is really exciting because I'm starting to piece the blocks together. This is where we're at. It is so stinking cute. Here is the last block of that row that I have to piece in. This is called an apple pie block, very traditional. So these are all traditional quilt blocks using an eye patch because that's what felt easy to me. This is for the Patch Quilt Show, which is upcoming in September. So I have some time, but I need to start moving things along because I am piecing this entirely by hand. And I quilt it by hand, do everything by hand. I have a high tolerance for things taking a long time, which is good because hand piecing is no joke, but I still need to be aware that I have a deadline and I'm going to come into a busy season for work. So I have a lot of time in August and probably way less time in September. So I got to get moving. But it's been really fun. It's been really rewarding to see it all come together. And I'm looking forward to having an adorable blanket on my bed when all is said and done. That's going to be it from me today. I wanted to talk about a little bit more, but if I'm being real, I'm starting to sweat in this room. So I am going to go sit directly in front of the air conditioner a little bit. I hope that wherever you are, you're staying warm or cool, whatever is your preference. And if you like this sort of thing, you can subscribe, you can like the video. Nobody's forcing you, but you could if you wanted. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.